I was introduced to a book online through some other research that I was doing. It's called The Songs of Kabir, Kabir, The Songs of Kabir. So this relates to that number one of wanting the exterior rather than the interior. He says, so long as man clamors for the I in the mind, his works are as naught. When all love of the I in the mind is dead, then the work of the Lord is done. For work has no other aim than the getting of knowledge. When that comes, work is put away. The flower blooms for the fruit. And when the fruit comes, the flower withers. Now that's pretty deep, but to me, it signifies all of our trying and all of that outward stuff that we're paying attention to. If we picture ourselves as the flower, that fruit that blooms for the inner fruit, when the fruit comes, the flower falls off. Let's hold that thought. Let's be the fruit that is emerging and allowing the flower to pass, the flower to dissolve from whence it came. I should have saved that for last because to me that's like the most beautiful. Okay. If anybody wants to know that book, again, it's from The Songs of Kabir, Kabir. It's a free download if you Google it on many different websites. Number two, a lot of you talked about this, is to become more playful. We're told to become more like children. Well, what is it that children do? They're in awe. They don't worry. They know that, they can gleefully go out and play. Dinner's going to be on the table. For most of us, we grew up in a safe home where, we played in the afternoon knowing that mom's at home making dinner and there's a bed for me to sleep in. Knowing that everything's just there. But what's more than that is just that belief in knowing that we're safe and we're taken care of. But what else did they do? That leads us to number three, how about resurrecting the things from your youth that brought you joy? Finger painting. You think, well, I'm an adult, I can't finger paint. Why not? Go buy some of those canisters and get some of that slippery paper and see what comes out of your hands. You might just have so much fun that you frame the pieces. Jumping rope. Roller skating. Taking tap dancing lessons. What did you do that really made you happy? Sing. Do it again. Okay, join a choir. Whatever allows your soul to come alive. Number 4 of 17 is knowing that your calling and your life are not two separate things. Practice being at ease with both. Some of you feel like you haven't realized your calling, but I found a quote this week by Howard Thurman. I don't know when it's from or when he lived, but Howard Thurman must have been very wise because he said to realize that your calling is not what the world needs, but what makes you come alive, and then go do it. And he goes on to say, because what the world needs is people who have come alive. I'm going to say that again. I love this. Realize that your calling is not what the world needs, but what makes you come alive, and then go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Don't you just love it when you see somebody who just owns who they are, owns their purpose and their inner joy and their self-expression? Man, it's not hard to get to that. Number 5, connect to the mystery that is your life. And this morning, the Andromedans were saying, If you want to be more playful, play with being sovereign. What would it look like to just be sovereign for a day? You know, that nothing comes into my world that I don't allow. This is what I want. This is what we're going to do. This is what my soul is saying to me. And if there's a problem that confronts you, stop and ask yourself, play with this. Is this real? Something that's really sorrowful or comes as a brick wall, you can't move forward. What's the truth about this? Is this real? Is this true? Play with those things and see what your mind comes up with. And do it yourself. Don't Google it. You know, the key here is the soul. Getting that soul to self-express, whatever it is. And when all the muck and all the crud comes up, there's your joy. So play with these things. This isn't supposed to be really hard work. Okay. Number 6 is get to know your ego and its ways. Find some humor in the way it reacts to life. We've talked about this before, I think, when if, like we talked about anger before, or holding a grudge, maybe you can say to yourself, oh, isn't that interesting that I'm feeling this way? You know? I think that's hilarious that I reacted like that because I'm safe, I'm good, I am the I am, you know, I'm sovereign here. Yeah, find some humor. Because the day you die, you want to be still thinking that on your deathbed? So why wait to let it go? Number 7, to create more joy, go within. Spending time with the self, realizing the good. This is all about you, number 7. You're going to spend time with yourself, realizing the goodness that you are, the grace that you are, that you own, and the softness of your heart's love. And appreciate yourself for all of it. And you can add to that list, what else is it about self that you love? And I'm not talking about the physical things like, well, I'm good at my job. No, we're talking about your character, your quality, the fruit, the softness that is you, the compassion that you have, the humor that you can give yourself, your heart's love. So when you wake up every day, if you don't already, give that appreciation to self, and that will start your day with joy. Number 8, engage in meaningful activities like we talked about earlier, walking in nature. What's meaningful to you? You know, I think being in nature around water, the ocean, there are many meaningful activities. For me, I'm highly creative, and so I'm always looking for art and, you know, new things to paint and things like that. But I started taking a pottery class because it's something I've never done before. You know, the potter's wheel that spins around, and I thought, oh my gosh, I know I'm never going to be able to do that. That looks so hard. How do you get that clay to stick, and how do you form it into a bowl? You know, so I'm on my 3rd classes tonight. I've already made 4 little bowls. And, you know, you have to learn how to manipulate the clay, and you have to have the right amount of water on the wheel, and you have to hold your hands a certain way at a certain angle and have your arms by your side. And then you have to clean the wheel when you're all done, which I hate. But I wanted to try something new, something I've always wanted to do. And to me, that's meaningful. Giving my soul another avenue for creativity, for a creative outlet. So what makes your heart sing? Make a note of it now, and then promise yourself you're going to do it. Go do it. Go dance. Number 9, amidst the illness or loss or loneliness, ask yourself, if I could learn something from this, what could it be? And that's the hardest part, because sometimes it's so hard to look at ourselves inside. I experienced a lot of abandonment in my life. So loneliness has been my friend in the past. So I've had to learn to ask myself, what can I learn from this? What's the lesson in here, soul? Come on, give it to me, because this is getting really old. And this was years ago. But there's times that I still have to address it, right? So I know that my soul wanted to learn self-love in this lifetime, wanted to learn sovereignty. What better way to do it than throw me into a life that's alone or abandoned? Not that I don't have friends and people that I love. I have that, yes. But I have experienced the flip side of it, where people that I love have walked away. Oh, what is something I could learn from this? Boy, those moments alone. And when the guides told me years ago, and this is the number one thing that really helped me that I'll share with you, is they said, allow that pain to be the stone that sharpens the sword of compassion in your life. Allow your pain to be the stone that sharpens the sword of compassion in your heart. How else do you think I get to do the work that I do if I didn't have this kind of compassion? And I learned it through abandonment. And I just got chills everywhere. I learned it through abandonment. I allowed it to sharpen me. So in your illness, in your loneliness, in your grief, what might this be bringing to you as a gift? I heard Tony Robbins years ago that said, he was talking about the abuse that he experienced in his lifetime. And he said, and I'm paraphrasing, basically, his mom poured liquid soap down his mouth and stuff like that. And it was terrible abuse. And they didn't have food, So now he's like feeding, out of the proceeds of his work, he's feeding 1 billion people or billions of people, because he knows what it's like to not eat, to not have food. And he gets to encourage people out of his own pain of abuse. Teaches people how to be strong inside and how to grow past it and how to stand up and be the giant within, is one of his books, right? So this is what we're talking about here. How can we see this as a gift? Number 10, decide to move on to other things. Because the number one gift that we have is that of free will. And I call it the gift of decision, because we can decide every single morning, you know what? I'm done with that. I'm moving on. I'm going to take this pain and I'm going to turn it into helping somebody else. I'm going to take this illness that I had and I'm going to learn everything I can learn about it and help other people heal through it. Or I'm done with this habit. Done. Just decide. Flip a new switch. And visualize it then with hope. Knowing that you have the gumption to change whatever you want. And number 11, to spur more joy, is to foster mutually rewarding relationships. Call the person who uplifts you and supports you. If you don't have any friends that uplift you and support you, go take a pottery class and meet new people. See, foster that. You're in control of that, because isolation will surely rob you of your joy. Number 12, true happiness comes from the joy of deeds well done, the zest of creating new things. Okay? And Franklin D. Roosevelt said that happiness lies in the joy of achievement and the thrill of creative effort. So how can you take those two statements, the zest of creating something new, or a deed well done, or the joy of achievement, the thrill of creative effort? Maybe you can just choose to do small things every day that bring you feelings of accomplishment, like make your bed every day. When I do that, I just feel good the rest of the day because every time I walk past that room, it's like, good, you did that. It looks good in there. I know that's not just me. What about the dishes on the counter and you just take 2 minutes and just put them in the dishwasher or wash them by hand or do some core exercises, right? Or write the letter. Your day can be filled with those small feelings of accomplishment that can really just, because joy, it's not something that we have to earn and that we have to work for. Just those little things. Am I the only one where making my bed makes me happy, brings me joy? See? Okay. You guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah, and clearing the dishes off the counter. Taking the garbage can in from the street. How about when you're in the grocery store and you have a push cart and you're loading your car and you have the cart and you just leave it next to your car? What about finding the place that stores the cart and you walk over and put the cart where it belongs? Talk about feeling good. Yeah, just those. We don't have to have great big things that require great effort to bring joy. Okay, and number 13 is to be in the now moment, much like we did before. Put our 2 fingers on that second brain of the body, or give yourself a hug, or walking in nature. Those are all real simple, quick ways to bring yourself into the now. Just be with you. Oh, there's only now. Well, what about that now that I just said? Well, that's gone. Now there's now. See, every moment is brand new. Okay, number 14 is gratitude. Be grateful, not just for the things you do have, but everything that your soul has brought to you in this lifetime. Everything. The loss, the grief, the illness, the abandonment, the loneliness, and the good things, of course. But when you're grateful for everything that your soul has brought to you into this lifetime, you get a joy that, that made me into who I am right now. And I wouldn't want to be anybody else. Which brings us to number 15, which is self-empowerment. To own your own creative faculty. And I don't mean singing and dancing kind of creativity. Appreciate the fact that you have created up until now your entire life as it was. Own that. And appreciate how far you've come and the courage it took to create everything that you've accomplished. Because you've used your power of decision through your whole life. You had the power to change, to make change, to bring change. And you still have that, so be in appreciation of the courage that it took to get you where you are today. And then 16 is stand up inside. With that same joy, then you have this feeling of, yeah, I am who I am, and my soul brought this to me, and I think I did a really good job, and here I am. And then you just have this standing tall. And you know what I'm talking about. We call it, the guides and I call it standing up inside. You can almost feel yourself, fill yourself with yourself. So stand up inside with that appreciation for self. Number 17 is to practice some self-healing. So these are the tips that I was going to give you, and they're just a few. But this can make this fun. So let's say that you have a headache and you wish that you had an aspirin, or even if you do have an aspirin, don't take it. Create your own energetic pill that's going to be safe for your body, that's going to take away the pain in your head. And imagine that you're taking it. You take a drink of water, energetically or for real, and then just relax into it. I tried that once a couple of years ago when the guides told me, I may have mentioned this before, when I was really stressed, and I said, boy, I don't take Prozac, I never have, but whatever that is for anxiety or something, I wish I had one. And they said, well, just take one. So it's like, okay, I created this little energetic, and it's not real, I'm talking just energy, right? I used my imagination. And in my imagination, I took the pill and swallowed it, and I fell asleep and slept all night. But try that. Next time you're tempted to take an antacid or wishing that you had something to calm you down, create an elixir. Saint Germain was really famous for bringing a chalice to people with an elixir in it and say, well, I'm going to create my own elixir, and this is going to invigorate every cell of my body. Do that. And watch what it does. It's your intention that you're putting into it. And number 2 in practicing self-healing, again, have fun with this. Talk to your body. Wake up every day and say, we're getting younger and younger every day, and I just feel better and better every day. I know somebody who did this, and I hadn't seen this person in a while, and they came to my house for a meeting that we were doing years ago in Colorado, and I said, you look really young. And he said, well, I've been talking to myself every day, telling myself I'm very young, growing backwards. See? So these are just little tools that you can use every day to keep your body in shape. And I'm sure you can think of more. I'm sure you can think of more. You know? What else would your body want or need? Vitamins. You can do the same thing with vitamins. You know, they have those places you can go now for an IV. Like you can get different vitamins put in these IVs. These shops you can go to that actually do that. Set one up for yourself when you go to bed at night. Imagine a little IV thing that they have in the hospital with a little bag in there. Imagine the cord coming out, you sticking it into your arm and say, okay, we're going to fill that with rejuvenating frequencies, because everything's frequency, right? Rejuvenating frequencies so that I'm going to sleep through the night, wake up, going to sleep peacefully through the night, fall asleep easily and effortlessly, and wake up refreshed in the morning, full of vitamin C and thiamine and riboflavin and peace, ashwagandha, so that I can be calm, right? This is using your creative faculty. This is you being sovereign. This is you having fun and being in joy.